Hi, my name is Sindoni. Welcome to another edition of He Walked the Americas. The stories in this series are from a book written by L. Taylor Hansen. Our story today is the second part of the old Chippewa Council meeting entitled The Voice of the Dacotah, and here is where our story begins. Together these men made the past of North America in the days of the prophet come to life. In the Chippewa lodge a tall man was arising. With a little grace he shifted his body, waiting for the murmurs to die into silence. In the full dress of the Dakota, he was a proud and exotic figure as the firelight played over his costume. Finally quietness came, and the rippling whispers ebbed away to a sea of silence. Never before that I can remember have the Chippewa invited a Dakota warrior to address them in council. No wonder, seeing this costume, there were many subdued whispers. Yet too long as enemies have lived our two tribes, and for that matter all the Indian peoples. Anciently we came from the same homeland. Do you not read that in these symbols used again and again in our costumes? It is so through all of our tribes westward. Indeed, it is time we dropped our dark frowns and learned to smile upon one another, seeking together our ancient history, for it is broken and shattered among us in legends which need more retelling in many languages for the light of truth and understanding. I was invited here to speak of Waikoma, the fair god who ruled the ocean and spoke in whispers to the windstorm. Our name is not the one you gave him, for when he came, we lived far to the southward, where the sun makes shorter shadows, and our cities were built on islands, many of which have since gone down into the ocean. As our land became scarcer due to storm and great earth-shaking, our tribe among us sought to be master. They began conquering city after city. We, the dispossessed, who would not live in slavery to those who had our same heritage, sought the mountains, many tribes in council. From our traders we knew of the Mississippi, and so in our long canoes carrying our sacred fire, we began our migrations. We of the turtle, keepers of the books and learning, led the many tribes of the serpent upon the great father of waters. To commemorate that, we built the great mound of the serpent led by the tortoise. It is too bad that we had to take your cities. Many years had we lived in peace and traded, but sometimes we moved but to fill the belly. Such was our move into the woodland, among the herds which were to be had for the taking, and when one has hungry children, those herds meant life. Such was our move up the Mississippi. Near White Man's Town, St. Louis, where stood your great capital city, we built our capital. We did not destroy the crests of your building when you had written your history, but we added to them. White Man was a destroyer of both your histories and ours also. You realized our need, and you moved northward, and there was peace between us. Then there grew up in the capital city of the Black Tortoise, Dakota, who sired our tribe. He had a great dream for the red man. He dreamed of a mighty kingdom, solidly one from the sea of the sunrise to the sea of the sunset. He could not gain the emperor's attention, and he left for the northern cities where lived your people. Now, though you have been a peaceful nation, his pleadings did not go unattended. Ears were open to what he was saying. In the west there is much fighting. Fierce warriors come from the northland, bringing great war dogs with them. We call them the men of the coyote. They burn and plunder and carry away the women. Now I would force them into cities. I would conquer them and make them peaceful. I would build one mighty nation, as in the old red land, which we both remember, which is ruled by two together. So I would have you rule with me this mighty country. In your cities of the Northland you listened to the voice of Dakota. You gave him armies to train and your sons to learn the arts of warfare. Dakota was a mighty general. He conquered the Tortoise Empire and made his own mound after the Tortoise Mound of extinction. He might have succeeded in his dream, except that more of the hordes of the Northmen coming afresh down the west coast decimated his armies, and then civil war broke out over the Dakota Empire. Cities were abandoned, and each tribe took to the forest to raid and pillage and play at war games like naughty children. And remembering back, our wise men told us that once great Waikoma predicted that it would be so, even to the final coming of white man. Now, when it is too late, we remember. You asked me to tell you of great Wakoma. Our memory of him is greatly garbled, for so long ago was he living. We know that he prayed to the dawn star, and today, in his memory, our most sacred lodge carries that name. To the memory of him, I make his symbol, and for this night, I have spoken. The last man ended his story and sat down, with the final expression, tonight, I have spoken. Then our host arose, Dark Thunder. Slowly he looked about him in the tent where he sat around the great fire. Outside the wind sang through the leaves of the forest, and the sound made a sighing music. My heart is heavy to hear these stories. The feathers of my soul are drooping, yet almost as if foretelling the present is the manner of the prophet's going. He left our people one night when it was snowing. He was to go to the Cree northward to Canada, and after seeing the people northward, would turn toward the sunset and the western river running toward the sunset ocean. They say that as he walked onward, the snowflakes danced through the skies in patterns. There were two wolves which were always with him, and now they followed his footsteps. One was white and one was dark silver. He had laughed when they had offered to guide him, for he had often gone with the merchants and he knew the country well. Thus the people saw him leaving in an aura of dancing snowflakes, where he was before a living forest like ours tonight. He faded into the whiteness like a wisp of smoke is lost in a snowstorm, leaving only millions of moving snowflakes swirling about in fantastic patterns. Remembering this and how he predicted the distant coming of white man, like the snowflakes which blow in from the ocean, I am suddenly stricken with sorrow. Once we lived in the wild free forest on a planet just as the Great Spirit made it. Now that world is changed and sullied, and the red man walks away sadly through millions of engulfing snowflakes, lost like a wisp of smoke in the snowstorm. For this night I have spoken. Did Jesus walk in the Americas? The Chippewa, the Dakota, and the Cree tribes of Canada say that he did. I'd like to thank everyone for watching The Voice of the Dakotah.